Today is going to be a great day. I am Nikki G, your host. Welcome to the Lone Doctrine, the food for thought exploration station, and your place in making today better than yesterday. We keep it short, simple, actionable, and practical. This month, we've been exploring the thing we must not forget. Filling our cup, attending to our well-being, feeding our mind as well as our body. How you define it, because you are important. I invite you to go back into the archives as we've explored this topic all month and explore with us not just the benefits of filling your cup, but how if you neglect your well-being, how it can cause all kinds of trouble throughout your life. With all the different aspects, whether it be how we can maintain a daily routine, to recognizing our thoughts, to pushing forward, we also have to keep in mind of our surroundings. In a previous episode, I mentioned that there are some things in life, some people, unfortunately, in life that can be and act like drains. In a metaphorical sense of filling your cup, some things in life can poke holes. There are obvious things such as eating habits, exercise habits, substance abuse, what I like to call temporary escapes from facing the real deal. The real life matters. For today, I wanted to explore relationships. Now, I'm not a relationship expert, but I have been in a lot of relationships, whether it's a significant other, your family member, friend, co-workers, even just acquaintances. Those you surround yourself with will have an effect on your life, good and sometimes challenging. Who do you surround yourself with? Are they lifting you up or draining you? Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes we see it, but it's hard to admit. And other times it's so subtle that we aren't aware until things get bad. Every relationship can vary, and let me preface this whole episode with the fact that most relationships have their challenges. But there's a difference in challenges with mutual respect, kindness, and love, rather than a one-sided or a one-way road where someone is just taking, draining, and sometimes that can be us. The person could be you or I. I say that with respect and because there are some experiences I've been through where although I felt at the time I was in the right, I was actually in a learning phase where I was acting for myself and myself only. Let's first explore when we are surrounding ourselves with those who might not be lifting us up. Some people will refer to these individuals as toxic people in their life, and the toxicity, so to speak, can vary. If you find yourself in an abusive relationship, please reach out to a trusted family member, friend, or someone you can trust to seek help. Help is there, and the resources are all around you. Reach out. There's no better time than now. For now, let's think about these questions. Are there people who constantly criticize you, put you down, make you feel worthless? These are toxic people, and actions such as these say more about their lives, their character, than yours. Let's say we are someone that's struggling, maybe even making a series of poor choices. In this hardship, there are people who will continue to push you down, make you feel inferior, or ones that will continue to lift you up. There isn't a clear way or one right way to change your surroundings if they are in fact toxic, but here are a few actionable and practical steps to think about and possibly put into action. Number 1, practice self-compassion when you're feeling bad. This has been something that I've done as one of my first steps these days, and I've learned over time how useful this method could be. Think about it. If you're feeling bad because of someone else's behavior, you might show your anger or irritation in your actions and words, and that only makes the person more likely to be more toxic. Your bad feelings are not only horrible for you, but also for the situation. So try this when you notice your feelings are bad from someone else's actions or words. Turn inward and notice your feelings instead of avoiding them. What do you feel like in your body? After a minute, try creating a feeling of love towards yourself. It sounds cheesy, but it is so helpful. Wish yourself happiness and an end to your suffering. Wish yourself a life of joy and peacefulness. This won't magically cure the pain, but it's a good place to start. Number 2, talk to other people. I've found that a lot of people, when they're hurting, often don't want to admit to the hurt. But then when we talk to someone about it, most people inevitably feel better. So take the plunge and talk to somebody. Share your feelings. Ask for them to listen. Maybe even give advice. The advice doesn't matter so much as the connection and genuinely listening. Number 3, practice empathy and compassion. Try practicing the same compassion method towards the person who frustrates you. In your heart, wish them happiness. See that they're also going through difficulties like you are, and that's why they are acting that way. Wish for an end to their suffering. Wish them a life of joy and ease. Remember that these really harsh emotions, anger, irritation, even rage, there is something much deeper going on with that person, and we sometimes have to step back and remember it's more about them than it is about us. And number 4, try talking to the toxic person. Once you start to feel more compassionate towards the other person, try talking to them. Yes, they might not act in a compassionate and peaceful way towards you, but you can be the better person. Do not sacrifice your good character based on their poor choices. You can see that they're suffering in some way and are acting inappropriately because of that suffering. So many times people just want to be heard. People want to be validated. And by listening to them and validating their feelings doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with them, but you will be surprised on how that can diffuse the situation so quickly and become less of a ping pong game of this back and forth of anger, frustration, anger. It can be an endless cycle. So try connecting with them, sharing that you're also having a hard time, and maybe even ask for their support. This might not always turn out well, but if you do it in the spirit of connection, they might be open to the discussion, and it might plant a seed to help them in the future. Another thing to think about is to model the behavior you want to see. Often, a lot of people get mad at other people for getting mad, and then doing the same thing they are, behaving badly because they've behaved badly. What is that saying? Anger begets anger? Where's my phone? Yes, 'tis is. Anger begets anger. Anger begets more anger, and anger will eventually escalate to violence. The response to anger needs to be something other than anger. We need to break the cycle. Even if there is a fault, even if your emotions escalate the situation, you always have the choice to step back and show and model behavior without frustration, without anger. Try to show a positive way of dealing with things, and often that can have a great effect, even if it's not immediate. And think about this. Try finding more positive friends. If all of this isn't working, it helps to find other people who are more aligned with the way you want to live. People who are creative, entrepreneurial, self-sufficient, excited about things, positive, healthy, happy. Find them in your local clubs, yogas, CrossFit class, Toastmasters, volunteer. Find them online in various positive communities. Take the plunge and reach out. Develop relationships. Buy someone tea or coffee and start a friendship. One by one, nurture the relationships that have a positive influence in your life and be a positive influence in theirs. I've had to do this many of times in my life, even with some people I thought were going to be lifelong friends. And as this process has evolved, it's made a huge positive difference in my life. And here's something that might be hard in what I just mentioned. Sometimes we lose relationships. Sometimes we lose friendships, the ones that we think are going to be there for always. But sometimes the best we can do for both parties is to let go. It sounds kind of harsh, but when relationships aren't supportive, if they're constantly critical and angry, and none of the above works, and you've tried to help them as much as you can kind of just start to put yourself at arm's distance. Now, this can be difficult when it comes to family, but even with family, you can allow it to evolve into something new. You can start by doing your own thing, by being the example of change. You can start seeing other friends. I know it's hard even when they live with you, but even then you can go out for a run, take a hike, see nature, meditate, create. Don't let the thinking about toxic people be the thing you focus on all day. Put your mind in a more peaceful, creative, positive place, and that will radiate change all around you. I understand some of these may be easier than others to take action with because of who I know family can be a bit, if not a lot more complicated. But some of these steps might be a good starting point, and why not start now? So many times we get caught up in the past, and believe me, I've come to understand firsthand that some relationships come and go. Some are only meant for a season, and some will actually be lifelong. Some of those people you thought would be a part of your life for always, as I mentioned, or even lifelong partners, may turn out to be the ones who you grow apart from. It's not easy, but this is a part of the many chapters of life. I have friends that I've had since I was young, and even though we rarely see each other, our bond is still so strong that we can pick up right where we left off every time. I've had people come into my life who I considered best friends, even friends I felt like were family, and some of those were the most hardest and difficult and hurtful relationships I've ever had. It wasn't until I got to a point in my life of understanding not just that time is limited, but that, as a friend's dad used to say, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. Meaning, I'd rather have a handful of really awesome friends than 100 so-so friends. Sometimes you won't know the value of friendship until real life hits. I say that from personal experience because when I was going through great hardship and loss, surprisingly, losing friends was also in that process. I've actually spoken to other people who have experienced loss, and they too have experienced similar situations of losing friendships. Some relationships come for a season, and it's not to cause judgment on others, which I will admit I did at first, but it's realizing that you are no longer on the same path, same wavelength, and they may not have the ability or ambition to grow alongside you. And as hard as that is sometimes, we have to work on respecting their journey, just as we hope people will respect ours. So take some time and start to become more aware of your surroundings. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you on the same wavelength? Do you share the same values? Do you lift each other up? Can you grow with them with respect, kindness, and love? Stay tuned in as next week we keep diving into how we can continue to fill our cup and live an awesome life. We would love for you to join us, and the more you give, the more we can support each other each and every week with more food for thought explorations. Come visit us at patreon.com/Lone Doctrine, patreon.com/Lone Doctrine. You can find the link also in the show notes, and most importantly, let's keep fighting the good fight.
It's a great day when your head